When I first started this project, I was feeling lost. I knew I wanted to go to Puerto Rico and study yolas, which are fishing boats, but I wasn't sure how I wanted to tell the story. When I got to Puerto Rico and was searching for fishermen to interview, I asked someone on the street if they were a fisherman, and they said, "That's what the people call me." He ended up being my capstone chair. His name is Mr. Villanueva. As I continued to connect with the community, things became clear, and I started to really care about the struggles of the fishermen. My real goal here is to help them be seen, and hopefully you can connect with them through these videos just as much as I did. So I would like to introduce you to two fishermen and boat builders from the community.
Me llamo Francisco Villanueva, años tengo un montón. Nací en Aguadilla, nací cerquita, un poquito más allá, está un residencial allí. Yo nací ahí en mi casa, cerca de la misma playa. Ahí toda la vida he estado aquí. Yo veía a mi papá haciendo la yola y después un día dije voy a hacer una yola y yo empecé y la hice. Pero yo aprendí viendo a mi papá hacerla hace muchos años. Y he hecho con el tiempo que estaba, yo he hecho como 6 o 7 para mí. Una que le hice para él. No son lindas, no son buenas, pero son para mí, hechas por mí.
Mi nombre es Rafael Vargas Valle. Soy natural aquí de Rincón, primero que nada, ¿verdad? He nacido, mi familia son pescadores. Nos criamos en la pesca de pequeñitos. Y ya yo cumplo 63 años ahora, en 22 de julio.
¿Qué otros trabajos ha tenido, además que la yola y la pesca?
Bueno, cuestión de la pesca, porque como nos criamos en ese ambiente, fabricamos la yola, el equipo de pesca. Somos artesanos pescadores. Fabricamos todo lo que tiene que ver con la pesca nosotros. En los años que yo me crié, pues yo aprendí a hacer yolas. ¿Sabe cómo? Yo tenía un familiar que las hacía. Yo nunca le pregunté, yo lo miraba. Lo miraba. Y cuando lo miraba, pues pegué a grabar todo lo que él hacía. Cuando cometí un error, yo miraba el error. Hasta que hice la primera. No quedó bien. Ya la segunda, de ahí para adelante, he hecho un montón de ellas. Y aprendí.
A yola is an indigenous fishing boat which has been passed down through many generations in Puerto Rico. It is a small boat that can be used with paddles or a motor and is generally used to fish a few miles offshore. People in the community need these yolas in order to make a living. As Mr. Villanueva said to me, the yola and the fishing communities that use the yolas are at risk of extinction. Younger generations are not learning how to build or fish with yolas and instead are opting to use larger boats which can go farther out and faster. One reason it is important to pass down the use of the yola for fishing is because it is traditional knowledge. The yola has formed part of the culture in Aguadilla and Rincon, and it is very important to conserve this culture. It is also a way to make fishing accessible to the community, as it is a cheaper option than larger boats.
¿Y hay unos jóvenes en su familia quien ha aprendido de usted cómo hacer la yola?
Bueno, lamentablemente de mi familia ninguno. Ese sobrino mío yo le enseñé a hacer una guitarra aquí. Pero los demás, porque lo que pasa es que tengo un sobrino aquí que él se fue a trabajar en una fábrica y hace puertas de aluminio. Él cogió su profesión y está haciendo sus puertecitos y cositas. El otro, pues, pegó a estudiar, dejó los estudios, aprendió a tocar buena guitarra. Pero los demás, pues no, de mi familia, bien poco. Le voy a explicar. La generación que nos tocaba hoy en día, la juventud, como que no le importa nada.
Antes, cuando nosotros éramos niños, había más pescadores, mucho más. Pero todos se fueron a otra parte, se murieron. Todos los tíos míos eran como más de 12. Los primos, los sobrinos murieron. Nos quedamos nosotros, el hijo mío y los 2 hijos míos, yo y 2 o 3 que quedan ahí en la playa. Sí, están trabajando, yo tengo uno trabajando ahí, un nieto, lleva ya 1 año y un par de meses.
Ajá. ¿Y él pesca también?
No, se moja cuando se va a bañar. Los jóvenes ya no. He contado a los jóvenes que no va a haber otra generación. Cuando se acabe esta, se acabó.
Another issue faced by the fishermen in the town of Aguadilla is the construction of a boardwalk on the beach. The fishermen used to leave their boats on the beach, but they have been displaced. When the government constructed a boardwalk in the town, they left a small piece of beach and they constructed a narrow staircase going from the boardwalk to the beach. Fishermen can't leave their boats on the beach because when the tide rises, the boats smash against the wall. This means they have to keep them on the boardwalk. But since there is no ramp, they have to suffer bringing the boats from the boardwalk down to the shore.
Puede escribir desde el principio hasta que sale el bote al agua, qué es el proceso que tiene que hacer, que tiene que tener para sacar ese bote.
Mira, si está arriba, porque lo hemos tenido que subir porque la mala ya ha mano, nosotros lo cogemos con unos tubos plásticos por encima de la acera, hasta que lo bajamos con una estilera que tiene unos tablones, que le ponemos tablones, y seguimos con esos tubos ahí, y a veces que por la madrugada traemos somos 2 o 3, y tenemos que bajar esa embarcación por la escalerita que no es tan amplia. Y decimos con esos tubos llegar hasta unas tablas que le ponemos de para que no se nos empiezan los tubos. En medio, así llegamos hasta la orilla de la mar. Y a veces 2 o 3 personas. Y a veces son embarcaciones que pesan como las que tienen Schaedle, que no es fácil. Pero así lo hacemos. Mucha gente que viene y ven y se dan de cuenta lo mucho que uno sufre haciendo el trabajo que hay que pasar, la fuerza que hay que hacer. Los motores pesan a 100 y pico de libras, porque son ya de poco caballaje, lo que nosotros, pero antes eran más grandecitos y pesaban mucho más. Eso pesa 100 y pico libras, pero nosotros tenemos ya añitos. La embarcación pesa casi 3/4 toneladas. Media tonelada, 3/4 toneladas. Si vienes con la Schaedle, si vienes con mucho pescado más todavía.
Así que si uno no puede cargar con todo eso, no pueden ir a pescar, ¿verdad?
Eso dice. A veces yo me paro ahí, como ahí, sí, pues me quedo contemplando mi paraíso.
As you can see, just to go fishing takes an immense amount of work. On top of this, fishermen have to deal with the effects of coastal erosion taking away the beaches. Coastal erosion has made it harder for the fishermen to find a place to store their yolas. They used to store their boats on the beach, but with less sand, there isn't enough space to store the yolas. Putuco said that he has to keep his yola in front of his house, which makes it a lot harder to transport to go fishing. In Aguadilla, the government building storm walls and placing piles of rock can make erosion worse by interfering with natural currents and preventing the movement of sand along the coast.
Tuvimos una consecuencia con el huracán que pasó, María Grande, que se llevó muchas playas en diferentes inmensas. Eso se lo llevó y ella volvió al sitio donde comenzó. Y se perdieron muchas cosas, se perdió mucho. Hay una playa que se está fabricando, que hicieron un rompeola y no lo hicieron bien, entonces se acumuló la arena ahí. Espinal, Rincón, Aguadilla, todas las playas están aquí desapareciendo. En cuestión a la erosión del sistema. Y fueron edificios y todo se fueron junto con el río. Las malas construcciones y los abusos de los grandes contrabandistas, pues, tampoco nos dejan sin playa.
¿Y qué uno se puede hacer para ayudarlos?
Eso se pudo haber hecho antes, si hubiera habido un trabajo antes, de eso. Pero no tuvimos esa representación que nos hicieran nosotros, pues. No hubo una unidad.
Even if we can't control whether or not the youth use yolas, it is important to ensure that the current fishing community is supported. One way of doing this is pressuring the government to build a ramp in the town of Aguadilla. It is also important to give youth access to knowledge so they can decide whether or not they want to use these boats. This can be done by supporting workshops between local boat builders and fishermen and youth from the community. I created a story map with these videos along with more information, and I plan to send it to the government in Puerto Rico to push for these demands. You can scan the QR code to see the story map that I created. Hopefully, you were able to connect with these fishermen as much as I was. As my chair, Mr. Villanueva, said, hopefully this project can be seen by the right people and something can be done to help. Thank you to my mom, my cousins, Carmen and Edwin, and the fishermen of Aguadilla who helped me in Puerto Rico. And thank you to my capstone committee, as well as Samantha and Hannah for all your support. Thank you.
Has the shortage of boats, or fewer of them around, led to a shortage of food in the area, or is it being harvested more commercially in more modern ways?
So yes, most of the fish is imported. There's the way that it works with these fishermen, since it's an artisanal fishing community, they bring all the fish in, and one person generally buys all the fish to sell in the smaller towns. But that's the fresh fish. I mean, the fish in the supermarkets and most of the fish that's sold at restaurants is definitely not from them. It's imported.
The local industry, if you will, is going away.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hi. So what were some of the major challenges you faced while in Puerto Rico?
Well, one major challenge was definitely the language. They have a very thick dialect, and trying to communicate with everybody, even though I do speak Spanish, was a challenge. And just finding the fishermen to interview in general was very challenging, because I didn't have it set up for when I went over there who I was going to interview. I had to ask around and go around the town and find people. So that was definitely a challenging part of the project.
Hi, Isabella. Thank you for sharing that story. You mentioned the fishermen, that it was sort of hard to find the fishermen. But in the end, you found fishermen and you spent a lot of time with them. What impressed you the most about the fishermen you met?
I would say their resilience was definitely the most impressive part. They're elderly men, most of them, who are pushing these extremely heavy boats, and they're fishing overnight, all night. And some of them, they're retired and they need this money as extra money, but they're still they're doing it, they're passionate about it, and they're resilient against these challenges.
Amazing job. I'm wondering, so it seemed like they seemed kind of bummed out that the tradition wasn't continuing with their families. Did you get a good response from the people that you connected with about the fact that a younger person is interested in the tradition? Were they grateful? Were they confused? Kind of what was the reaction?
Yeah, honestly, I think they were very happy that someone was trying to talk to them about this, because they don't get so much attention. They were really willing to share with me, and I wasn't sure if that was going to be the case. I thought maybe they wouldn't want to talk so much, but they were very happy about someone wanting to help out, and yeah.
Amazing job. So how do you recommend that we continue, if there's a way to teach the youth about making yolas, since it sounded like a lot of it was just watching their dads or their parents? Did you see that any of the fishermen were trying to implement that into the community for the youth?
Yeah, I mean, there was a boat builder who wanted to do workshops. He said it takes about 4 or 5 days to build a boat, and he wanted to build a boat with the youth in the community. And on top of that, just filming what they're doing would be very helpful, so you could see the steps of the yola and have it documented.
Thank you.